Emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame, but it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. Later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. Reciprocal, I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. So it's 67%. So we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything. But now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see.
All right. Let's stop that right there. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Peace and blessings. Good morning. Yeah, I wanted to just play that right quick, man, just to, give y'all a little brief update on Trump's Liberation Day. That was the day that Donald Trump announced that he was going to be implementing reciprocal tariffs. And you see, top of the list was China, right? So we got the trade war going on. Everybody should be up to speed with. And like we've been saying since day one, man, this was going to be bad for everybody. You know, if we couldn't come up with a deal with China off bat, it was going to be bad for us, but it's terrible for them. And see, we have a bipartisan government here with a legacy media. In this country, we have people that, from my vantage point, are unpatriotic, and they display their disloyalty for their own nation. So you have a lot of people that siding with China, that live in America, but that would never occur in China. They don't have a legacy media that the president of China has to compete with. But we also understand that when Trump put those reciprocal tariffs in place, it was going to have a huge effect on China more so than us. And they have a lot of pride, but they have secretly been letting certain tariffs that they have on us dwindle, so to speak. They have been going through a lot of factories closing. They cannot pay their workers. And yes, as the title says, riots break out in China due to the effects of tariffs. And the reason why is because they're not, like I said, they haven't been able to pay their workers. See, what people have to understand, with us being the number one economic power in the world, China relies on our economy more than anybody else. We build everything that we have here in America, and for the most part, we shop with America. But we also we consume so much as Americans. We buy so much from China that their factories cannot survive without our dollar. So when they engaged in this trade war, yeah, it might sting for us a little bit, but we fully stocked up. It might pinch a little bit, but ain't nobody rioting in the streets. Despite what you hear in the media, despite people saying that we are going to be in a recession, I would argue that we've been in a recession for the past 4 years. See, the effects of Trump's tariffs would take at least a year or two for us to really feel the effects. But for China, they're going to feel them just like that. They're going to feel it immediately. So for people running around saying they feeling the effects of the tariffs, Trump just implemented those tariffs on April 2nd. It hasn't even been more than a month yet, as this May 1st. So we not feeling the effects. But oh yeah, China is. So with that being said, let's get to it. And shout out to the content creator, Matt Morse TV. You know, so we gonna see how China has been responding to these tariffs in the streets.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just got a hold of some leaked footage out of China, and now our suspicions have been confirmed. You see, ever since President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs went into effect in early April, we've been speculating that China was on the verge of economic collapse. And so now, thanks to this leaked footage, we know for a fact that the CCP is in full-on panic mode right now. So folks, take a look at this, then we are going to have a lot to talk about.
不要代表。
浙江嘉兴桐乡市乌镇发生大规模工人抗议事件， 千余名升迪光电科技股份有限公司的工人因公司长期拖欠工资，自4月28日起连续2天罢工，聚集在厂区及乌镇镇政府门前，要求尽快支付自今年1月以来被拖欠的工资。
大家是工会的会员，所以我们会以工会的名义。
When it comes to ideas for your bath project, you have options within options at Floor & Decor.
This game, you're not ready for it.
So, folks, as you just saw, protests like that right now are breaking out all across China. And why? Because the Chinese Communist Party is running out of cash. They quite literally can't afford to pay their workers anymore. Let me say that again. The CCP can't pay their workers' wages. Massive portions of the Chinese workforce have stopped receiving paychecks. CCP-owned businesses are crumbling, and factories across the country are shutting their doors. And the entire situation traces back to one thing: President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. These tariffs are dismantling China's export-driven economy, forcing factories to shut down, disrupting supply chains, and most importantly, exposing the CCP's complete and total dependence on the American consumer. You see, unlike the United States of America, which can rely on its domestic economy, China lives and dies by their exports. They need us. We don't need them. And President Trump knew this from the very beginning. He knew that their economy was one big, fragile, debt-ridden house of cards, and now he pulled out the bottom card. Now, of course, the CCP is doing what they always try to do. They're trying to quietly walk back their mistakes without admitting defeat. They've already started dropping their retaliatory tariffs on American products, hoping that nobody notices. But here's the thing. We noticed, and so did the rest of the world. As we've seen over the last couple of days, China has been quietly dropping their tariffs on American products, hoping that no one notices their complete and total capitulation to President Trump. And so this is what it looks like when a rising superpower like China gets exposed as being nothing more than a paper tiger. They try.
Yep. Hold that fast right there. Shout out to Matt Moore's TV. But yeah, man, like you said, Donald Trump knew from day one, eventually. Now, it's only been 4 weeks of this tariff, so-called tariff war that's been going on between these two men and these two nations. And ironically, it's how it would be the way that these two presidents are positioned, or how it would be positioned on the map, with the United States on the left and China on the right. And, you know, I think China, like I said, are a very prideful people. And nobody want to see nobody losing out on no money and seeing people rioting in the streets. But see, what Trump has that the president of China, Xi Jinping, doesn't have is a media base. So we wouldn't hear about this if it wasn't for independent media like us bringing this information to you, so you can see how these tariffs are affecting the other nation. Now, us on the other end, we over here, not too much has changed for us, but their whole world has been flipped upside down in China, and their failing leadership is the reason why. And all we're asking for is for fair treatment. And as you see from the beginning of this video, they had tariffs of 67% on us. And all we did was go to 37, which was halfway. We didn't even go the full 67% that they were at. We went 34, which almost crippled their entire economy. So when I tell you, don't even trip, this may sting a little bit, But for United States citizens, sit tight. Because we got this in the bag, y'all. Let's keep rolling.
They tried to go toe to toe with Donald Trump and the United States of America, and now they're getting eaten alive. Their retaliatory tariffs had no bite. They couldn't sustain the pressure, and so now they've caved because their entire economic model was unsustainable. In fact, I want you all to take a look at what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had to say about that just yesterday afternoon. But first, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, take a look at this.
Do not buy new windows if you live in Indiana. Americans living in zip codes starting with 46 and 40.
China in particular is in need of a rebalancing. Recent data shows the Chinese economy tilting even further away from consumption toward manufacturing. China's economic system, with growth driven by manufacturing exports, will continue to create even more serious imbalances with its trading partners if the status quo is allowed to continue. China's current economic model is built on exporting its way out of its economic troubles. It's an unsustainable model that is not only harming China, but the entire world. China needs to change. The country knows it needs to change. Everyone knows it needs to change, and we want to help it change because we need rebalancing too. China can start by moving its economy away from export overcapacity and towards supporting its own consumers and domestic demand. Such a shift would help with global rebalancing that the world desperately needs.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is absolutely correct. China's entire economic system was built on this illusion of sustainability, built on endless cheap labor, massive trade surpluses, and no accountability. But now that illusion has been shattered. And here's the truth. Ironically enough, President Trump is actually doing China a massive favor here. He's forcing them to reformat their entire antiquated economic model because whether or not they like it, that model is dead. And so now that civil unrest is erupting all across China, the CCP is scrambling to find ways to keep their economy alive. Meanwhile, back at home here in America, President Trump just keeps on racking up economic win after economic win. And so here's the thing that all of these globalists don't understand. President Trump's tariffs were never about short-term pain. They were always about long-term American resurgence. Because every single factory that shuts down in China means one more opportunity for an American factory to open up. Every Chinese worker who loses their job because their economy can't survive without leeching off of the United States means one more job opportunity for an American citizen here in America. And this is the entire point of the America First agenda.
Exactly. And we're going to leave that right there. Shout out to Matt Morse TV. You know. So, with that being said, one thing China has to understand that I was taught at an early age, it's a virtue that the customer is always right. You know what I'm saying? If you would have just came and sat at the table, bro, we could have avoided all of this. But you wanted to retaliate, knowing that you didn't have the upper hand in the situation. That was pretty foolish, but you're a prideful people. When Trump came out, it offered everybody deals across the world. 100 countries reached out to the White House to make a deal, except for China. So what did Trump do? He froze tariffs for 90 days on every country that made a deal or made a proposal to make a deal. So the stock market flourished just like that. It was a huge boost in the economy. Now it's kind of leveling back out, but for that week or so that he did that, it was off the chain for the stock market. See, the whole model would make America great again and put America first also helps the rest of the planet. As the leader of the free world, everyone feeds off our economy. If you notice, when America's doing good, the whole planet is doing great. China tried to go against the grain, but they're seeing the effects a lot sooner than later. And now that the people in China are taking to the streets to voice their frustration, just imagine they going to work and not getting paid. That's terrible. But pride always comes before the fall. Riots break out in China due to the effects of tariffs. Now, do you see any riots going on in the streets of America due to tariffs? No, it's a lot of talk. It's a lot of jibber jabber, but you definitely don't see no riots because they don't affect us much. Yeah, there might be some stuff missing at Dollar General that's made in China because, you know, those tariffs are, you know, maybe affecting the import of certain items that you may find at Dollar Tree or Dollar General, but for the most part, the stuff that we get from China is all cheap material. So it's forcing us to spend money with America branded products. So you might like, dang man, I normally get the garbage bags for $1. I got to get the ones for $4 now. Stuff like that. So that lets you know that, hey, the one that you can't find for $1, you got to get the one that's for $4 now. Yeah, but it kind of balances out with the tariff, what you would pay with the tariff if they sent them here with the tax. So maybe $1 off. With the tariff, it might have been $3 on that dollar pack of garbage bags, but you're getting a better quality because it was made in America. Hey man, this stuff deep, man. But like I say, man, the customer is always right. China, man, you should have took heed like the rest of the countries across the planet. It's still not too late. America is a country of virtue. And if you come sit at the table and come correct, I'm pretty sure President Trump is willing to strike that deal. But yeah, man, what say you? Leave it in the comment section. Riots break out in China due to the effects of the tariffs. Ain't no riots out here, though. Yep. So it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.